Hi guys and welcome. Today I'm going to show you how to make a very old-fashioned but very simple and delicious pudding. It's called Eve's pudding and I am going to take my apples. So I'm just using cooking apples here because they were on special. I usually try and cook to whatever is on special in the supermarket, not all the time, but if there's something on special and we like to cook with it, why not? So I basically cut my apple in four like that, and then I cut out the middle part like that, and sometimes you will see kind of brown bits. Just cut them out completely because you will taste them in your apple if you don't cut out those brown bits, and just chop it up roughly like that because we're going to stew the apple first before we put it into the pudding. And I'm going to add a little bit of sugar, and the sugar part is very much individual taste. If you like a tart apple flavour, don't add too much sugar. If you find tart apples just too bitter, add more sugar. I, of course, with my lovely sweet tooth, would err on the side of more sugar. So today I'm going to add 100 grams of sugar, and you can play around with that. So I'm going to put this on a very low heat, add my 100 grams of sugar and let it gently simmer away here until it starts to reduce down and the apple starts to disintegrate a little bit. We don't want it to completely disintegrate, but just starts to cook through. Next thing I'm going to do is make my pudding, and I'm just using my basic madeira queen cake mixture that I use for most puddings that I have. If I was making cupcakes, I would use this recipe. If I was using any other kind of pudding, I usually use this kind of recipe. So I have 6,639, and I do that in ounces. I have 6 ounces of butter, 6 ounces of sugar, 3 eggs, and 9 ounces of self-raising flour. So I'm going to pop them in here. I will put them up in grams as well for you, if that makes life a little bit easier. And you can actually throw everything in here at this stage, but I like to just beat my butter and sugar together first. Oops, I need to plug in my plug, excuse me. So you just beat that. I want to beat that until it changes consistency to kind of the yellow of the butter has gone out, and I want it more creamy consistency. And I'm going to add a tiny drop of vanilla to that as well, because vanilla makes the world go round. And I'm going to leave that and come back to you in a minute when this is beaten together. The texture has changed completely of the butter and sugar, and it has become creamy-like as opposed to buttery-like. Okay? So guys, don't forget to keep moving your apples around. Just give them a gentle stir every now and then to make sure they're not sticking to the bottom of the pan. Just a gentle reminder. Now we're going to add our eggs here, and I'm just going to throw all 3 eggs in there at the one time. I know a lot of recipes say beat them in slowly, but I don't think it makes a whole pile of difference, and who has time for that? So I'm going to add then my flour. I also have 1 teaspoon of baking powder, which I'm going to add at the same time. Now, I will tell you a little bit of truth. I actually don't have self-raising flour, so I'm actually using plain flour, and I'm hoping to God that because I'm adding the baking powder that we will get good results. And the reason I decided to just go ahead and do this anyway is because I just wanted you to know that nothing has to be perfect when you're baking like this. It just has to be as close to right as possible, and it will work. You know, it will still get a pudding. We mightn't get a great rise, but it will work. So I'm going to make sure that all of my butter is beaten in here. We don't want any big lumps of butter. And then I'm going to add a little drop of milk. That's probably about 2 tablespoons of milk, and that's going to make it nice and fluffy. Okay, I'm not going to with the machine for noise. So that is enough. The milk, I find, changes the consistency of the batter from kind of thick and dense to light and fluffy. And that's what we want in our, oh here we go, this machine again. That's what we want in our pudding. It's a nice light batter. So just look at that there. Can you see that? My camera person today is Liam, otherwise known as Chef Liamo. And there we go, lovely light batter. I always try and scrape the sides of the bowl because sometimes if you're using a mixer like this, they miss just the sides of the bowl and you get the butter stuck to the side. So I'm going to check my apples here again, and I think they're just cooked enough. I don't want to overcook them. And again, this is something that is very much an individual taste. If you like your apple crunchy, that's been enough time to cook them. Liam, if you want to bring the camera over here a little bit, you can see that they're starting to break up a little bit, but they're still holding their shape. Now, if you prefer your apples less crunchy, go ahead and cook them for another 5 minutes until they start to lose their shape more. So I'm going to use just this normal casserole dish today. I'm going to pop my stewed apples in here. I have 5 stewed apples in here, but I'm going to keep back 1 because most of you will probably just buy your apples in packets of 4, and Maria will love to have a nibble at that cooked apple. She just loves it. So I'm just going to then spoon on, just like this, my pudding mixture, 1 spoon at a time, just to get it nice and evenly spread out all over the top of the dish. Okay, I've spooned all the mixture out, and it actually is starting to dissolve a little bit with the heat of the apples, which makes it easier to just spread it out and try and tuck those apples in underneath. That's the difficult part. So this mixture makes enough to cover 4 apples nicely. I'm going to pop that into the oven now. I'm going to pop it into my lower oven, so it's about 180? I think it's about 180, which is Celsius, 350 Fahrenheit. I'm going to check that in about 15 minutes and I'll probably turn it around. Okay? Pull that up for you. I just wanted to show you how wonderfully delicious and fluffy this mixture is underneath here. How about that for a lovely pie? And I think the best way to serve that is with some yummy custard. On a cold day like that, I decided to do this pudding, Eve's pudding, in honor of Tony's aunt Eva, who passed away and has been buried today. So in memory of all her family, this is Eve's pudding. I hope you get a chance to enjoy that. God bless and thanks.